Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Technology Mafia. If you have a MacBook Pro, this is the A1278 model, and you have either a cracked glass or a cracked screen, if you could see that in the video, or you need to repair or replace, I should say, the LVDS cable, which is the connector that goes from the motherboard to the LCD. Then this video should help you out a little bit. What this is the proper way to replace your MacBook Pro screen. So let's get started. I've done a little bit of work on this one, so it looks a little different. You'll see that I've taken off the glass on the front. So that's been removed completely. So the way you do that, if you don't know how to, is there are a few videos out there on the topic, but you need one of these, which is a guitar pick, and you also need a blow dryer. And really those are the only two things that you need. And what I suggest you do is you lay it down flat like this, and you use your hair dryer to blow around, and I do it at a section at a time. You need to get this pick in between the very edge on this rubber seal and the glass, and you need to get up underneath because all of the adhesive is right along the edge. So the idea is you heat up the adhesive, you stick this in between, and then you slide it over. You slide it across, careful with the webcam. Start over here, you slide it all the way around, and then you remove the glass. It takes a little bit of practice to get it done without cracking the glass. I've done it twice and I've cracked the glass both times. But it is possible to pull it off without cracking the glass. What we are going to be focusing on is replacing this LCD screen. If you've punched your screen or if it's cracked and the actual LCD screen that displays the picture has just black bleeding, a bleeding picture, this is what you need to do. So the first thing is you want to start by removing the screws on the very back. Now all of these screws are the same size except for these top three, and just to orientate it, this is the front, how you open it. If you flip it over like that, these three screws are going to be longer. And there you go, you could pull that cover right off and put that aside. So as you could tell, you could probably hear that this computer is on. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it off by holding the power button. And so the next thing we want to do is remove, let's start with the left side. We're going to start removing things on this left side. So we're going to remove these connectors right here. So one, and they just pop right off. 2, 3. I'm using a little spudge tool. It works. There's a fourth one right here. And then we want to remove this ribbon cable. And then what we want to do with this corner is we want to move these out of the way. Also underneath this ribbon right here, there is a little connector that you want to move out of the way. And this one's a little tricky. What I found works best is if you just use two small, you can put this down just so it's not bouncing around. Use two small screwdrivers and just gently wiggle it back and forth and push it back, and it comes out. There you go. I can remove that ribbon. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll pull this cable back and lift it up through here. Okay, so now you can see you have 5 cables up here. This ribbon loose, and then we want to unscrew this, which is the speaker. So it's just pretty simple. One screw right here, and then 2 right here and here. and these are a little longer so you won't get them confused. Okay, and you can see that that speaker is popping right up. So what I do is I will move this out of the way and put it down right here. You can see. And the easiest thing to do is just to tape it to the battery temporarily so that you can move this bottom half of the computer and not have it flop around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And just like that, stuck to the battery. Now, I should have done this earlier, but it's not too late to do it now. I'd highly, highly, highly recommend that you disconnect the battery before you do any other work to this, really before you even pull that. So this is the battery connector, and you just pull it straight up, you pry it up, and that's it. So now there's no power on in the circuit, you can't short anything. These MacBooks have a tendency to short a fuse next to the LVDS connector, and that'll cause your backlight not to work. And in fact, that's the issue with this particular MacBook right now. It's the backlight's not working. So anyway, moving on. Let's move on to the right hand side, and I'll zoom in right here. Okay, so first thing you want to do is remove this connection. This is the LVDS cable. I hope I'm saying that correctly. LVDS, something like that. Which is the display connection. So you pull up on this tab with tape, or you pry it up like I just did, and then gently you wiggle it back, and there it is. And then to fully remove it, you do need to remove two screws, which are right here and right here. They're two Phillips screws. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, and this one's shorter. So we're going to take off this bracket. You can see it comes out. Focus. Just like that. So there are, as you can see, 3 hex screws right here. And I don't know what size these are, T6 or T5 or T4, but you're going to have to remove these 3 and the 3 on the other side right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So what I recommend doing is just removing the ones on the outside and leaving the center ones. Now some of you may be asking, why would you take apart all of this when some other videos are showing all you have to do is pry off the screen and pull it up and then disconnect and reconnect. The reason I'm doing all of this is because this cable, the display connector, is very difficult to deal with when it comes to connecting and disconnecting the LCD screen. In fact, the first time I did this, I thought that I had broken it, just simply because of the amount of force that I was using to try to get it to connect to the new LCD. So now we've removed those 2 outside screws, and what I suggest doing at this point is putting the laptop up on its side, kind of like that. Make it a little house. And then removing the last 2 hex screws. Okay, and there we go. So now we have the 2 pieces separated. So this is the part with the keyboard. So we could put that face down over here. We won't be needing that for a little bit. And then we have the actual monitor. So At this point, if you haven't already removed the glass surrounding the display, you should go ahead and do that. And in fact, it might be easier to do this right now. But since I've already removed it, what we have is the LCD display. And the first thing that we want to do is remove this bottom protector lip. So the way you do it is don't try to pull it off. You slide it to the right. And it goes about maybe a centimeter, probably a little less. And then pull up. So to the right, and then carefully up. And it comes off just like that. And the flat side, when you're reattaching it, the flat side goes on the bottom. The curved side goes on the top. So put that on the side. Then we have this fun part, which is, let me zoom in. Okay, so this black piece right here is actually the antenna. It's several antennas actually. I'm sure it's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and all that good stuff. So we need to remove this to get to this cable, which is what we need to worry about moving and reinstalling. So in order to do that, on the inside of this lip, you could see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws, and these are tiny. These are pretty easy to strip as well, so just be careful when you're removing them, but there are 5 total. Okay, so once you have the last screw out, you can just remove this piece by just pulling gently up, and don't pull on these wires. That's where it's connected, right over here. So we just move it out of our way temporarily. And then we get to the part where we remove the LCD panel. So there are 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side that we will need to remove first. And then don't forget this step. At the very bottom there are 2 screws right there, and those hold the bottom of the LCD screen in place. And they are a different size than the 4 others, so just know that they are silver but smaller. There we go. So now we're ready to lift the screen out of its place, and the way I do it is I just pry up very tip right here, and then you just gently lift. Zoom out. So this is the cable that we're dealing with. Just be gentle and allow, yeah, there we go. So it's helpful to kind of move it to the side. And then we want to go ahead and remove this connection here. So just like on the motherboard, you pry up on this little locking mechanism, and then you pull directly out, and there you are. So now you have a screen that can be removed, and then you have the frame that just has the cable there. So what we want to do is take this old cable and pull it out like this. We grab our new one, which is the exact same, and we put it back into place. Now, if you are just replacing the screen, you obviously don't need to replace the cable. However, the reason I've taken this MacBook apart to this extent is because now it's infinitely easier to plug this in. What I will do is lift the LCD screen and then gently put the connector in there, and then flip that little locking mechanism over, and now you're done. All we have to do is slide this back into place. So it's a little tricky, but be gentle, be patient. So there we go. Now it's back in its place. Take care of any tape. The reason I have tape up here is for this webcam ribbon. Moves around a little bit. And then as far as reinstalling everything is just the reverse of what we did. So now with that in place, we can reattach this piece, which is a little plastic antenna. Make sure you tuck in that LVDS cable. Okay, so that's all done. Now we want to put this plastic trim piece back. So what we'll do again, flat piece, flat side goes on the bottom, or towards the bottom. The best way I found as far as tucking these cords is just to hold them up against these metal round things. I think those are springs for the opening and closing action. And again, since we slid to the right, we're going to slide to the left to lock. So I'm going to push this over a little bit. And it might be a little tough to get it over all the wires, but again, this is a test of your patience, so be patient. There we are. So we have it on the left, and then we're on the right. We slide it to the left to lock it back into place, and it's in there securely. So now all that's left is to get the other half of this here, and we're going to put the two pieces together. And then go ahead and secure the first center hex screw on each side. Another way I found is if you want to put it up like this on its side, it also helps when you don't have four hands to hold it up. And now let's go ahead and put the other two screws in. We can now close it. And okay, so now let's go ahead and start back with the left side. And we're going to start reattaching some of the wires. So in order to do that, let's take the tape off of the speaker down here and move the speaker assembly back into position. Now make sure that you tuck all of these wires up here underneath this little plastic tab. And there's one remaining right there. Before you do that, you do want to make sure that you pull out this little circle. So these bolts, one will go through that little holder, whatever that ribbon is on the wire, and then this one will go through this little metal circle. And then don't forget your short screw in the corner. Okay, so that's now in place. Now we get to do the fun part of putting these connectors back into place. Alright, and we're almost done now. All we have to do is reconnect this ribbon cable down here. Just clicks back in, and then reroute this cable for this little connector on the very end. And you just carefully push that back into place. There it is. And then just make sure that these wires are tucked in out of the way. Okay, so that side is finished now. So we'll move on to this side, which is the cable. Now the best thing to do now is to reattach this little piece that we took off. Okay, so that's back in place, and now we can connect this new cable if you are replacing yours, or the old one if you're just replacing the LCD. And be careful here, make sure that it goes in all the way and then lock. So that is all done, as you can see right there. So last two steps, I want to reconnect the battery. So that's done. Everything else is completed, and we can finally put this back plate on and put all the screws back in. And again, the three long ones go right here. 1, 2, and 3, and the short ones around. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video helps you out if you have issues with either the LVDS cable or you are replacing your LCD screen on your MacBook Pro. Again, if you have questions, feel free to comment below. As always, like this video if it helped you out, and thank you for watching. I guess I should mention that we did forget to reinstall the new glass around this. You could do that once you've put the whole assembly back together. You just put your laptop down like this, and you remove the adhesive tape on your new glass, plexiglass. You stick it on here, and you slowly use either a heat gun or a hair dryer, and then I would recommend using a microfiber cloth to press the adhesive down so that it's attached securely to your aluminum frame. If you guys have issues starting up your computer and it's not showing something on the screen, you want to try a couple things. So the first thing is you want to try to do a reset. So you hold down, you press the power button, and then you hold down Command, Option, P and R. It's a PRAN reset, so you do this, Power, PR, Command, Option. You hold it down, you hear the chime. You keep holding it until you hear the computer restart. Now on mine, you'll see that the screen isn't displaying anything because my backlight fuse has shorted. And you can really see it the second time. This will probably solve your issue if you're not showing something. But again, on mine, you can tell that the new screen is functioning because if you use a flashlight, you'll be able to see the Apple logo, but the backlight isn't working. So I've yet to figure out how to replace the backlight fuse, but I may do that, hopefully figure out how to do that and completely fix this computer. Again, thank you, bye-bye.